I think most of us agree that the biggest single area of discrimination or inequality that people with a psychiatric diagnosis face is that they die younger. They live less well and they live for a shorter period of time. But what we don't talk about in terms of addressing that is that a lot of that premature death is associated with the treatments people are given as a result of the diagnosis of mental ill health. So, for example, most psychiatric drugs, and particularly the antipsychotics, will lead to an increased risk of liver failure, heart failure. They will have an impact on blood systems.
Diabetes also.
Diabetes. In fact, you name an organ of the body and it's likely to be adversely affected by some of the treatments that people are given for mental ill health. So we do not adequately address the physical health consequences, not of mental ill health, but actually the physical health consequences of the treatments for mental ill health. If we, one of the most important things we could do in terms of understanding, why mad people, for want of a better phrase, why they have a lower quality of life and a lower life expectancy, is the way they are treated by mental health professionals. In particular, in terms of the toxic chemicals that they take, often against their will, and certainly not in an environment of genuine informed choice. And so what we would like to see is genuine constructive debates about the medication. What are the pros and cons? Some people find great benefit from it, some people find no benefit from it at all, but generally people are not given the opportunity to make their own decisions about whether they do or don't take medication. There is a lack of understanding when people stop medication. There is a lack of understanding about the difference between what is often thought of as a relapse of symptoms and what is in effect a physiological withdrawal effect of course, these are mind-altering drugs. They're given to people to change your brain chemistry. So they are mind-altering drugs. And when you stop taking mind-altering drugs, it has an impact on your body. It has an impact on your mind. It can be destabilizing. That is not always a relapse of symptoms. Sometimes that is just a natural physiological effect of stopping taking drugs. You can see the effects, those sort of effects, on people who give up smoking. You can see those effects on people who stop drinking. Yeah. Stopping psychiatric drugs is no different. But we are very bad at allowing people to do that in a constructive way. We're very bad at doing that in a way that
so would that be a right? People have to try to quit medicine, you think?
Absolutely, but to do it in a positive and constructive way, or even just to be more in control of the medication. And I think some people, if you take people who hear and see things, classic symptom of schizophrenia. The research evidence says that with the best quality antipsychotics, about a third of people will stop hearing and seeing things. So 2/3 won't.
So perhaps people should just learn to live with it.
Well, I mean, there is, for some people, that is the only thing you will be able to do. You have to accept that you hear and see things, that there isn't a simple biochemical response to that, and therefore a more constructive response is how do I live a meaningful life in the context of hearing and seeing things, and that's. For many people, that's a much more constructive approach than trying to just simply remove the voices biochemically, remove your hearing and seeing things. Now, for some people, if medication stops them hearing and seeing things, then that's fantastic. Then what they have to do is balance any other negative effects of that medication with that benefit. But for people like me who got no therapeutic benefit from the psychiatric intervention, it was very simple. I'm gaining nothing from this treatment, therefore I lose nothing by stopping this treatment. I still hear and see things. I still have to manage that. As it happens, I can manage it more effectively when I'm not drugged up to the eyeballs, and giving people the opportunity to articulate is very important. And I think good psychiatrists and good clinicians understand that, but they are still both in the minority and often pressurized into defensive practice. So, a marker of how good they are as a clinician is what the compliance rate with their treatment is. And I don't think compliance is a particularly good indicator of mental health. It may be an indicator of being a compliant patient, but it's actually not an indicator of being well. And we need to move towards more effective indicators of being well. And there are lots of indicators that are good indicators of being well, but compliance with treatment isn't necessarily one of them.